Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I was traveling today and I saw a whole bunch of emails come in with the exact same subject line, so I knew it was going to be a popular topic. And when I saw the subject line, I had one big question in my mind, and it has to do with someone driving along and they're following Google Maps and they make a wrong turn. Well, they took a right turn according to Google Maps, but it was a wrong turn in the sense that that road should not have been traveled. And so the question always is, when someone's driving and they're taking the directions from one of those GPS units, whether it's built into your car or your phone or a handheld unit, I got one of those also. The question is, at what point is it your responsibility to watch where you're going? And I've jokingly told the story. My father years ago went to Finland with my mother and rented a car. And the car came with a dash top GPS unit back when those things were relatively new. And at one point he said he was driving along and it said turn right. And there was a lake right there. Now, it wasn't turn right into the parking lot and look at the lake. It was turn right, and if you do, you're going to wind up in the drink, which he didn't do. But I remember him joking about this, going, you've got to be very, very careful about that unit telling you what to do, and you got to pay very close attention. So the headline here from CNN, Jamil Lynch wrote this. Family sues Google, alleging its Maps app led a father to drive off a collapsed bridge to his death, according to his attorneys. The bridge being collapsed is a problem, and the question is, could you have told the bridge was collapsed ahead of you as you're driving down the road that Google Maps just sent you down? So Google's been sued by the family of a North Carolina man, claiming the company's Maps application last year led him to drive off a collapsed bridge and fall about 20 feet to his death. That's according to the lawsuit. And by the way, it's happened in Hickory, North Carolina. I've got friends in Hickory. I've been there many times. And there's a motor speedway there, which was the home track for Bobby Isaac, who drove the car that model's based on right there. Fascinating guy. But the man here was following Google Maps directions while driving home late at night in September of last year from his daughter's 9th birthday party, when the navigation system directed him to go over an unmarked and unbarricaded bridge that had collapsed years ago, according to the lawsuit. He drove off the unbarricaded edge of the bridge in Hickory, North Carolina, and drowned, according to the suit. The lawsuit claims neighbors had expressed concern Google Maps had led drivers over the bridge, which allegedly has not been repaired since it partially collapsed in 2013. So it's been messed up for 10 years. And I don't know if it was completely collapsed at this point or if it still looked drivable and then collapsed underneath this man's car. But here's the quote. For years before the tragedy, Hickory residents asked for the road to be fixed or properly barricaded before someone was hurt or killed, and their demands went unanswered. So the attorney said that in a statement. We've discovered that Google Maps misdirected motorists like the plaintiff onto this collapsed road for years, despite receiving complaints from the public demanding that Google fix its map and directions to mark the road as closed. Now, I would have to guess, and most attorneys look to see who else might be liable for an accident. So quite often you sue more than one party as a defendant in your action. I'm wondering if anybody has thought of, and if they're possibly being sued here, who it is who's responsible for that road. If it's a public road, you think that perhaps, I don't know, the city or the county or the state or whoever oversees that road would be in charge of blocking it off or fixing the bridge. So somebody's got to be responsible for that. Residents also notified Google Maps of the hazardous bridge. The application continued to navigate drivers over it, claims the suit, which includes a report made to Google Maps by a woman asking it to update its navigation system. However, CNN has tried to verify the veracity of that exhibit. They could not do it, but that apparently has been attached to the complaint, the lawsuit. The quote says, "You are not able to cross this road. GPS sends people down here, which is especially dangerous for emergency vehicles. Please update this map so GPS is accurate." And, I've seen those cars on the road driving around, taking pictures and stuff. And I assume they've also got cars on the road mapping stuff, right? And things change. Bridges collapse. Roads get washed out. I've found myself lost out in the woods before with my Ford Explorer because a map, the old style on paper, showed a road that I thought was a road. It turned out it was a trail that dissolved into pretty much just foliage I was running over with my truck. And now there was no bridges or washed out road there. I had to backtrack really slowly quite a ways to get back where I started. But the point is that sometimes this stuff changes. So the woman who wrote to Google appears to have gotten an email auto reply from Google Maps thanking her for the report. Your suggestion is being reviewed. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. We'll let you know once the changes are published, it states. Besides Google, the family is suing its parent company, Alphabet, and 2 local companies it claims were responsible for maintaining the land and the bridge, along with proper barricades and warning signs, and failed to repair the bridge or put up barricades and hazard warnings. The suit claims negligence and willful and wanton conduct by the companies and seeks an unspecified amount in punitive damages. Now, Google told CNN in a statement, they have the deepest sympathies for the family. Our goal is to provide accurate routing information, maps, and we are reviewing the lawsuit. CNN has sought comment from co-defendants in this matter, but has not gotten a response. And of course, I do admire Google for not just outright denying this. Because quite often when people get sued, they counter by saying, that's not true, da-da-da-da-da. And here they actually say, deepest sympathies, our goal is to provide accurate information. We're reviewing the lawsuit. Well, they'll review the lawsuit. Good. Meanwhile, the man survived by his wife and the couple's 2 daughters, ages 9 and 7. The family wants to make sure our voices are heard, the widow said in a statement shared by her attorneys. My daughters spent their first Father's Day without their dad. They should have been celebrating and spending time with him. He devoted his life to his family. Instead, they had to look across the dinner table and see an empty chair. Our girls ask how and why their daddy died. And I'm at a loss for words they can understand because as an adult, I still can't understand how those responsible for the GPS directions and the bridge could have acted with so little regard for human life. No one should ever lose a loved one this way. Like so many motorists, the man put his trust in Google Maps to safely guide him home from the children's birthday party, said the attorney in a statement. His trust in Google Maps and the failure of the road and bridge keepers to do their jobs cost him his life. And, you know, that's a scary concept. I've seen a lot of stories about like bridge collapses and things of that nature. And, I was out in California going to law school when one of the big earthquakes hit San Francisco. And there were people on a bridge, and the earthquake caused the bridge to break up. And there were people who simply drove off the edge of the bridge. It was there a second ago. It's not there now. And so it's such a scary concept that those things can happen. But the idea that the bridge was unsafe for a long period of time and people knew it and had tried to notify Google, if in fact that is true, you've got a problem because they were on notice and it's something they should have looked into. So I've heard all kinds of crazy stories about these mapping programs, and it's not always Google. It can be MapQuest. It can be whatever. And I've heard these stories about people saying like, I've got people driving up my driveway because a program told them that's the road to go through to someplace else. And they wind up in the field behind my house going, where'd the road go? It's like, you just went up my driveway. Okay. And so I've heard of people like blocking their driveway or putting things across the road or putting up signs. I've also heard of people who complain about their neighborhoods because one of these programs finds a shortcut and says, hey, turns out that instead of going around this way, you can just cut through this neighborhood. And a neighborhood that used to be peace and quiet is now a through traffic for people who are taking that shortcut that was just given to them by one of these programs. That might be perfectly legal and make complete sense. But running up someone's driveway because you're looking for a road that ain't there, or driving off a bridge that's collapsed after they were notified that it had collapsed and was still showing up in the program, that's a problem. So I was interested to see that because my concern was that the story is going to be, some guy was driving along, following his instructions so literally that he did something that he could have seen with his own eyes. And it sounds like it's quite possible that this bridge was collapsed in a way that you wouldn't realize it until it was too late. So we'll see what happens with the story. If we get an update, I'm sure I'll catch it because, like I said, I got friends in North Carolina, in Hickory. Hey, Samantha, how are you? One of the best guitar players I know, Samantha in Hickory. So please, when you hear an update on this, let me know. Also, if you're familiar with the bridge, let me know. But family sues Google, alleging its Maps app led a father to drive off a collapsed bridge to his death. That's from the lawsuit. Jamil Lynch wrote that for CNN. A lot of people sent it. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice.